Hey, I'm pulling a Keith D today, and just a dude walking around talking into a stick. But even worse, I'm in like a glorified resort trailer type park. So, even worse, at least he's in a big city park. I just have to laugh today, and I'm not laughing. It's not serious. I'm losing a lot of dough on paper. But the whole jumping around to finding a reason for every cyclical crazy move and this volatility seems odd to me. Like today, everybody is about gold and silver again, even though the other day there was, the comeuppance, it went up 150% due to volatility and global bullshit. And then it dropped 40% or so, and now it went up another 20%. I'm not sure how, and Bitcoin is tanked, and other things have gone up and down. Palantir tanked, then it went back up, and it's like I'm just trying to figure out why. It seems to me that whatever big institutional investor does something, the entire herd follows them along, and then the entire industry follows that and says this is the new way and the new wave and where it's going. And I'm like, is it really, or is it just kind of spinning around cyclically, moving from money from crypto to AI to metals to more precious materials to gold? And it just keeps coming around and around and around, and it's flipping around, and every global thing is triggering something new. Japan's carry trade, or this America-China war over materials. Meanwhile, this whole war, has anyone noticed that China is now manufacturing in Mexico and growing soybeans in Brazil, and we're doing half of our manufacturing and business in Vietnam and Malaysia and Thailand? Like, there's a global market going on. The money thing has been a talk for a long, long time. Ray Dalio goes, I've been watching on YouTube for 20 years, talking about how basically, the dollar was going to end up tanking itself because we're going to get into 40, 50 trillion dollars of debt. Eventually, all the people in the world who rely on the dollar as a fiat currency, who are invested in treasuries, are going to take a hit and they're going to find another way. Now, to exacerbate that, the political issues have forced, the BRICS countries to join together. And of course, the first thing that China, Iran, and Russia wanted to do was get off the dollar. Why? Because it's hard to explain, but to make it really simplified, they have to hold U.S. treasuries to do certain business. And certain business is done in the U.S. dollar only, like oil and energy. And so we get a cut of everything. That's the point. We get a little we get something in there. And so when China buys oil from Russia, they have to pay them in dollars. And they're like, why are we paying them in dollars? And that's one of the things that made Bitcoin look so good to people and digital currency look good, especially to financial markets and big, institutional investors, because the money moves fast, touches fewer hands. It's like Mike's wallet can send it to Bobby's wallet if I want to buy Bobby's house. I don't have to go through 13 real estate agents and lawyers and this and that, as long as I get the paperwork done correctly on whatever the government end is, and that's probably on the blockchain somewhere too, because the whole thing will be locked into a smart contract that'll live forever on this, ledger. Then who doesn't like that? Right now, when one company has to pay another company overseas, they're paying a bunch of extra charges, fees, and things that are going to banks and our government and whoever might hold the fiat currency. So, it's onerous to a degree. I don't like it. I don't like that it takes 2 days for me to transfer money from my account to my ex-wife's account. Like, it's just ridiculous. It should go instantaneously. But most of the time, and a lot of us find that it doesn't. That's not how it works. We still pay a lot in fees and a lot of time. And that's why it comes to my main point now. I understand that we're in this frenzy of countries and banks are trying to stockpile gold, and we're going to replace the dollar with gold. And I find that to be utterly, politely, how do I say this, idiotic. Because I need somebody, all the experts that I know out there, everybody, all the investment guys, Keith, I forget people's names, but you all know who you are, you, and all you guys. Even Tom Lee, who's killing me right now, your Bitmine is like a pine cone up my ass, but I'm still holding on, thinking, Ethereum's still going to do a ton of things in the next 10 years. It's not going to tank back to where it was. So back to my question before I get too hysterical, because I'm walking and I get winded because mold. That's one thing I can't do like you guys do. Does anyone really, really have an argument or convince me that a fiat currency is ever going to be tied to gold again? I don't believe that. And silver, it seems to be moving as this sort of store of value like gold, but silver has incredible applications. If anything, I feel silver should be worth more than gold at this point because silver has applications and is good for jewelry and is good for dinnerware and pots and pans and all kinds of shit. Where gold is basically just some fancy ass metal we don't do a lot with. It's very mushy and pliable and it's pretty. But I'm like, it's not as valuable as silver, really, or as copper. We need copper for everything. So now I'm squeaky getting crazy here, but this is all I'm trying to say is that gold and Bitcoin, I don't see that big a difference. The only thing I see is the money moving back and forth between them, which proves to me even more that they're pretty valid stores of value. But which one is going to more likely be the basis for some sort of new currency down the road? Something digital or gold backed by paper or gold backed by digital? It doesn't make sense. Everyone knows gold doesn't mean anything as a monetary thing anymore. So I don't know, this whole everybody stockpiling gold is just, I feel like it's just another political, it's like the Epstein files. It's to keep everybody chasing it. Look at the shiny thing, get it, fight it, look at the press, let's get all over it. But at the same time, it's just the next thing in the cycle that's blown up. So Bitcoin's down to 75,000. I'm like, oh Christ, I was afraid it would go to 75,000. I bought some at 5,000. I bought some at 40,000. I bought some at 90,000. I bought some at 101,000. So I don't know, it's pretty bad dollar cost averaging, but I'm not going to get out of it because it's tanked at 875. It's like a tsunami pullback, it feels like to me, because the money's cyclical. The problem is when Bitcoin blows back up, Nvidia and Palantir will probably shit the bed. And I'm like, oh well. But I'm waiting, is there going to be one or two good days where all of them do well? Because there's been plenty of days where all of them have tanked, which tells me it's mostly manipulated. It's mostly global blah blah chatter nonsense, and it usually rights itself within a few days or a year or 2 years. And I got kind of 10 years to watch this unfold, so I'm trying to kind of stay the course, even though I'm kind of I got too many chips on the table in some regards. I'm trying to learn, and I want to capitalize on what I didn't capitalize for 30 years when I was a working ding dong, putting pennies into a 401k with no match and going, gee, why isn't my retirement building? So now I got to do some retirement building, which means I have to chop some wood. And sometimes you chop some wood, you hurt, whatever. You pull a muscle, let's say. I'm going to say I'm going to cut off a finger. It feels like that today. That's how Bitcoin feels. But anyway, everyone's out there getting their fingers nipped today, so it is what it is. But I just think I don't hear any valid, real reason or argument for gold or silver to become fiat currency underpinnings or anything like it. So I think it's just going to go back to what it was, and we're going to slowly keep revolving around this cycle of money flowing out of one thing into other things based on news or whatever it is. If BlackRock moves $1 trillion, more money's going to move. Everyone's following it. Everyone's doing things. And the institutional guys, again, they're so locked up. There are so many institutional players who still are not even allowed to deal in Bitcoin at all. So when those guys get freed up to deal with it, when we get whatever this, kitty running around, what are they calling it? The Genius Act or something like that, the Clarity Act or whatever it is, the crypto bill they've been trying to get through that still hasn't moved. Once that goes, other countries are going to do the same thing, and then crypto's going to go crazy again. I could be wrong, but I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. I'm a procurement guy, and I try to see these things in a linear fashion. The whole problem with YouTube and those things is they lock you in on that moment. They're all very momentary things, and everybody acts like it's the last day on earth. It's the first and last day on earth, and this is the moment, and this is all that matters. But, I'm cursed with age and historical perspective and context and, vision and sort of emotion, unfortunately. But I can see the bigger picture is, things continue to go up, but they were really high. But we are an industrial revolution. AI is going to do a lot of stuff. The players who are going to do well from it are already kind of lined up. This whole thing about gold and silver and copper and stuff, some of it is tied, and energy, some of that is all tied to this industrial revolution, and some of it is not. But the notion that the internet didn't happen, cell phones didn't happen, desktop computing didn't happen, Wi-Fi didn't happen. It's all a little bit goofy. We've got satellites all through space. Technology always seems to win in the end. It does what it's going to do, and these companies won't stop, and the money will just continue to flow. The problem is there's so much money that was printed by all our governments that it's just flowing around in crazy places now. Everyone's afraid to lose it, and others are manipulating how to get more of it because they can, because they have enough to do it. It taints everything in society, from art to music to business to industry. Too much money is crazy, and unfortunately, none of it really gets to the middle or the lower classes where it should. They're the ones who are doing all the work, but yet it's everybody with the assets that's farting around with, has money to worry about. Like, I'm losing money today and my rent is paid. I know people who are working 3 jobs and can't pay their rent. That's not because I'm smart or whatever. It's because I just know enough to have gotten out of that constant snowstorm and hailstorm and get to somewhere where it's not raining on my head all the time financially, and that's allowed me to do a lot of better things. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. That's for different stories, for a different channel. But this one, I just need somebody to tell me why on earth, or I'm not trying to say negatively, maybe I'm completely wrong and someone's right. What are the odds that we have any kind of fiat, any currency based on gold versus digital, whether it be Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP or any of these layer 2s or whatever it might be? I find it absurd, honestly. I respectfully find it absurd to think that we're going to move back to a precious metals backed fiat anything, and that we are going to continue as soon as whatever global stuff settles for 5 minutes after some election or government shutdown ends. We're going to go back around. I hope. Whether is Bitcoin going to be $500,000 like they're all saying? No, but do I think that Nvidia, which is at 180 something, is going to be 220? Yes, I do. Do I think Palantir, which is down to whatever one something, is going to be 400 or 500? Yeah, I kind of do. Do I think Apple's going to be 280 or 260? Yeah, I do, because it is right now, and I sold it years ago at 150. So I think, if everything does what Apple did then, when I sold it 5 or 10 years ago, then I'll do fine. If I go nuts now and start chasing gold and silver around, I have a feeling I'm going to get my ass handed to me. So I have a tiny, tiny bit of gold. Not much, not as much as I wish, But, what do you want me to say? I didn't sell at the top, but I bought Bitcoin and it went up a ton. So if I'd sold it, I could have made a lot. Had I bought gold when my brother bought it years ago, it went up not a ton. It went up a little. So the amount it went up would not have paid the interest on my mortgage. So just because it's gone crazy for 3 months and Trump's in office, I don't know that that's the way I'm going to look at the rest of the world or the rest of eternity. I think I'm going to see this as a cyclical move, and people had to, first of all, in October, they pulled all kinds of liquidity out of Bitcoin because they all needed money to pay everything else, pay off all their margin calls. So they always come back to Bitcoin because that's the one money that no one's looking at because it doesn't really exist yet. So but it's real money, so they take it out of that. Michael Saylor's had to sell. Everybody's had to sell. When Bitcoin tanks, they have to sell to pay off certain things. And that's how all businesses work. A lot of them have lines of credit. These guys, instead of lines of credit, they have Bitcoin in bulk in their account, in their wallets. So that's how they work it. Now, if you think Bitcoin's a joke, it doesn't mean anything. Who's the joke on? They're using it to pay the same things they use money to pay for. So they just have massive Bitcoin holdings. Today, do they wish they were gold holdings? I'm sure. But are they buying gold in place? No. Go look at the COMEX or whatever you look at. Michael Saylor's not loading up on gold. I mean, maybe a little, but not anything that's, not a BlackRock moving any needle. He's not a country saying, we're going to invest in gold again. No, they're just going to pay their bills and ride it out. And like me, wait till cyclically this stuff comes around and people realize again that the gold is a problem. It's a difficult resource to mine. It's not a good money base. It's hard to store. It's a pain in the butt. So we'll get back to that again. And we're going to realize that silver is worth even more than gold because it's been every possible piece of AI infrastructure that we need. So you do the math there. Copper could be more. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, copper should be worth more than gold because you can make plumbing out of copper, but all you can make is a ring out of gold. So which do you need more, a ring on your finger or plumbing in your house? So again, we manipulate these markets. We do what we're going to do with them. Steel is another manipulated market. Maybe steel's worth more than gold. I don't know. Aluminum should be, but we use it for everything. I couldn't cook today without aluminum. I don't know, we're all so twisted in the head. We do whatever they tell us to do. Somewhere along the line, gold was pretty, and the king said, "This is my shit, and it's worth more than your shit." And we've been living that way ever since. So, well, I don't find Bitcoin to be that outrageous. Some Japanese guy said, "This is more fair than gold." Take my word for it. Now everybody's kind of figuring it out. Anyway, sorry I get a little crazy on that. Tell me what the next fiat currency is, or how we're going to do commerce throughout the world. I really am curious to know. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a digital currency. And I pray for that day that Mike can buy his next house or car or golf cart or something off of Facebook Marketplace, with which we could do now, of course, but I mean legitimately, easily, foundationally, institutionally, or not, maybe not too institutionally. I could just send Bobby Joe, whoever, some money out of my wallet to his wallet, and then we make our transaction, and nobody else has to care. No government has to stick their big toe in it. No foreign governments have to worry about, the currency change and transfer and who's getting their piece of the pie and all that. No. It'll just be me and old Bobby Joe making our transaction. Hopefully it won't be for something nefarious or illegal, but again, like they're not doing that now with dollars. Nobody's got suitcases of dollars crossing under a desk right this very minute under a table. Come on, folks. Let's live in the real world. Anyway, well, AI's coming. I'm not sure what the real world is. That's why I'm asking you guys what the currency is going to be, so maybe I can get ahead of it, because I'm losing money hand over fist right now. And that's while listening to you guys. And I know you're losing it too, so shut up. Don't even act like you're having good days. Peace out. Love you all. Have a great one. No one told you they love you today. I do.